Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Hey, now, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. I am Nick Murawski. This is episode 319 of the very fan-centric farm-to-table White Sox podcast. We do it weekly, and we do it live on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Subscribe to that channel, like the stream, all those fun things. Pass it along to other Sox fans in your life. Audio. Love you all listening to the audio. That is available everywhere you find your podcasts. We're going to talk about this 43-75 team. Boy, when you do a podcast and you do it weekly and it's kind of time sensitive, man, sometimes those episodes do not age well. And that's something we're going to get into. But with me, as always, my best friend. He's a diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, happy Sunday to you, buddy. Glad to see you and glad to talk to everybody. I did some more amusement park recon today, and I'll tell you, it was another at least 11-2 White Sox to Cubs gear at Six Flags today. I'm telling you, man, they're coming out in force even after a tough week in Seattle and then coming back home to the Guardians. But we'll just chop it all up. Here's still some things to be excited about, and maybe some reasons why. But you're right, Nick, when you look at last week when we were, contemplating what we're going to add in the offseason to this juggernaut of a team, it comes crashing down to earth, which we shouldn't be surprised by. Let's be honest, still a very young team and a team that was on a little bit of a heater. It doesn't mean they can't play well again. It just means that it's going to be some ebbs and flows as we go through the rest of the season.
Yeah. Speaking of heater, man, it was a thick, hot one at the game today. Very, very thick, humid, muggy. Welcome, Sydney and Josh, into the stream. Hey, good to see you, Sydney. Sydney, I go walk over to gate 3 with my father. We're holding down the line as my mom and my wife and my son head over to grandstand to do some other things. And who's there before me? Sid the Kid. Sydney is standing right there, ready to go. Sydney's a diehard fan, by the way. This guy is at the games. He's a wonderful follow on social media. Giving love to everybody. Nancy Faust on the keys. He's blasting about that on social media. Great to see Sid. And he does a fantastic job with all his content creation. So make sure you're following him. And thank you to Dennis Walsh. Dennis, you're awesome. Sometimes I know you're a listener. Had the Stadium Club passes today, which was a real help. If you are, not somebody that likes the heat or can handle the heat. Oh, it was nice to get in there, have a nice little meal.
You got a meal too.
Oh, you sit down and you have a meal. Wonderful.
I thought you were just getting out of the heat. I just thought you were looking for some shelter. And you sat down and having a nice. What'd you have for a meal? Tell me all about this.
I had this Italian sandwich. It's like every type of Italian deli meat you can have on a sandwich. And then they have some giardiniera and some provolone, and you get a side of potato salad. And a nice deli pickle. Oh, goodness gracious, man! There were some smash burgers that were had at my table, and of course there was a campfire milkshake to finish everything off. So
did you just have to pay to get in and you get all this stuff, or did you? Was it just an extension of a thank you for being? Letting us take your money hostage yet again this year, Nick, as a season ticket holder, or how did that go?
Well, the connection for the Stadium Club passes, I had to throw a Hail Mary. I had to reach out and contact someone that's been wonderful to work with, and all of the different, buying and selling of properties that my wife and I have gone through over the years. He's great to work with, and he's a season ticket holder. And I was like, maybe this could happen. And gracious enough to extend some stadium club passes. But when you get up there, then it's just, you can sit down and you order off a menu.
Okay.
So instead of, it was a special treat. This was great. It was my parents' first game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we decided, you know what, after we wandered around a little bit to see some of the things, the normal haunts for Vince Kids Club, let's go into the Stadium Club and we'll just sit down, relax, cool off and have a meal. And the menu's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And the cold sandwiches are great, and you're not rushed out of there. You can relax. I mean, we were there for like 3 or 4 innings, and it was nice.
Good for you guys. That's fantastic. What a way to watch a ball game. Our friend Josh had his wedding reception up there, if you remember correctly. Beautiful venue to have a wedding, if you'd like to have one like they had this past weekend.
Yeah. I mean, hot, absolutely hot. He was on like the first floor of that, but it's a beautiful area, great views. And John, hello to Howard and John and Scott and John, buddy, John with the great parking hookup. I got these connections all over the place.
What is going on? You got everybody under your thumb.
I got to tell you, man, people are so kind. And, I got to thank them. John's hooking me up with the parking pass. And we had a blast. It was Ozzie Guillen bobblehead day, a Nancy Faust day. Yeah. So, what can you say, man? A White Sox winner, too. Sorely needed, Pat. White Sox.
Sorely needed White Sox winner. I think Cole Montgomery's home run is still traveling throughout the atmosphere somewhere.
That was
a bomb. Exciting to see. So good. I'm glad you had a great day at the ballpark. I'm sure you have had a chance to wring out your underpants by now and you're ready to rock.
I got the if you're on the stream, you're seeing this is the Guillen bobblehead in package. And the Guillen bobblehead is fashioned with the the sign for Bobby Jenks, making the sign for the big man out of the bullpen. And just crazy, how things work, and Bobby passing away. We're still thinking about Bobby. Always will be thinking about Bobby. And here this bobblehead coming out this year with that sign for Bobby Jenks, that unforgettable sign. Like, I want the tall, big guy. Yep. And that's how the bobblehead is fashioned. And it talks about, gives a blurb of Ozzie Guillen on the side about what he did as a manager and everything. And during the game today, in between innings, they're showing all these highlights of Guillen, not as a manager, of course, because but those would be interesting highlights. And he has actually a managerial highlight reel. Not a lot of managers have a highlight reel. He's got a managerial highlight reel, but it was of him as a player. I was talking to my wife at the game. She didn't grow up a Sox fan, and we're in that place right now where there's this generation that only knows Ozzie Guillen as a manager and a post-game, pre-game with Chuck on the program, and doesn't know what he meant as a player. He was beloved. He was a great player, rookie of the year, played for a long, long time, a pillar. Gosh, he could throw the leather at short. Obviously he didn't have a power bat, but he was scrappy, man. He gave you absolutely everything, and he wore his passion and heart on his sleeve. And growing up, man, this podcast obviously named after Good Guys Wear Black. When the Sox went to those silver and black, when they got the new stadium, he was like the face of that, with Fisk and Bo, and oh man. So another great honor for Guillen. And next time he brings out his family and throws out the first pitch, it's got to be because of a number retirement.
Okay, well, you've been waiting for that for a long time. That's an emergency podcast worthy right there if that gets announced.
Yeah, that's an emergency podcast for sure. Stop whatever you're doing and we'll get on the mic.
If you're performing some type of surgery, if you're in labor, just stop. Stop and listen.
Yeah, it was nice, man. It was a White Sox winner. They started off early. It got a little difficult. Ran into our good friend Steve Paradzinski.
Oh, 2 weeks in a row. Have you seen Steve a couple weeks in a row?
Talk with him, and I love chatting with those Sox on Tap guys. I got no problem promoting another White Sox podcast, especially when it's folks that work so hard and are great, passionate fans. And Tony and Steve, man, those guys do it right. So it was good connecting with him again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're not here to compete against other people. We're just here to be a piece of your listening time, right? Like everybody has an opportunity, and there are good people. So I hope he did say hello to Steve for me. I don't tell you, I didn't tell you to say that.
No,
I know you were the man of the people. You were the man pressing the flesh with the fans all the time.
Look,
and I know people are looking for me, saying, "Where is this Pat guy at all the time?" And
it's often
Never
expressed.
happened,
Yeah.
but I just please say hello to people when you see them for me.
Yeah, I always do. People are asking, they're wondering, they're asking what's happening. So,
Okay.
Well, this White Sox team, Pat, they're 24 games back in the division. They're 19 games out of the wild card standings. It was at 16 and a half at one point. At least I was. I think you were with me, but I was really banging the drum last episode. After what we were seeing from our White Sox team. Second half Sox, baby. After the All-Star break, I was really excited. And we saw some good games while we were watching in Galena as they were taking on the Angels. And like, this team is fun. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking the offense. And I don't know, could they be adding some pieces in the offseason with the way the rest of the division is, especially the Twins and this, that? Man, I was making a case. I was really.
He's making an argument. He's making an argument.
Oh boy, our Sox have gone 1-5 since the last time we talked. So
yeah, it has not been a good week, and there's been, I think, some reason to it. I think part of it is right now we've become so reliant offensively on hitting the home run, right? There's been, and I'm not diving into all the stats and everything, but it seems like a lot of runners left on base, not a lot of opportunity to really manufacture runs. And you're also at as well giving up way too many runs per game lately during this stretch. But as I mentioned in the open, Nick, to expect that to have held up throughout the entirety of the second half of the season was probably a little bit, unrealistic. And a lot of teams, even good teams, will go through stretches like this, like the Sox have gone through. So I don't know if it's like, okay, we were really stupid last week. How could we say anything good about this team? And look what they've just done. I would say we're going to have to continue to ride the wave. This is still a young ball club. It's a ball club that doesn't really have, in my opinion, a bullpen that you can rely on, and that not going to be able to hold up a lot of times in late innings. So listen, it is what it is. It was a tough week, but I still don't think it should rob you of the joy of what this team has done in the second half. They're still doing exciting things. Like I said, they are reliant really heavy on the home run. They continue to put the ball out of the ballpark, which is fun to watch. And I don't think it should deter you from the focus of what we should have, and that's the young player development and what's going on. I think Chase Mydroth being out of the lineup too, it really hurts this team with, again, a guy that takes a lot of walks, gets on base, and he's your guy they can use to manufacture some things. So that's my synopsis of it. I don't think it's like, okay, you take everything. Don't listen to last week's episode because Pat and Nick were ridiculous. I think it's just part of the story, right? That was a good week. That was a good stretch. That was a good way to come out of the break. But now it's like, okay, you get slapped around a little bit by a good Mariners team on the road. And then you come home. And quite frankly, the Guardians had been playing really good baseball. They shrunk the lead of the Tigers. I think it was from 15 games. Now it's down to 6 games in the Central. So the Guardians have been playing really good baseball. So it is what it is. I look forward to continue to watch and see what this team does throughout the back half of this year.
Yeah, you're right. Guardians are 6 out now, and that was a comfortable double-digit lead for the Tigers. And you're right, man. I'm still, as I talked with Steve and other people throughout the week, I'm still very happy from what I'm seeing with this club. This year, of course, the bar was ridiculously low after last year, but I've been happy with, the home runs are flying. They're hitting home runs. I think what I can, and we'll talk a little bit about this definitely when it comes to that finale in Seattle. What I've been able to determine, and it's not difficult to figure out if you've been watching and paying attention, it's something we constantly harp on over the years. It's production with runners in scoring position.
Mhm.
That has been the bugaboo this past week. It's been glaring. It's been ugly. And we'll highlight it in the Seattle finale because I was hot. Boy, if I was back on lockdown when I was doing daily podcasts, oh man, I would have been on fire after that episode. That would have been just a vile, just toxic stream of words after that day game. So anyway, good stuff though. Here's the good stuff. Colson Montgomery is a man-child. He is a beast. He continues to mash. This is so exciting, and he's mashing with this torpedo bat. I wonder if they have something of this in like golf club terms. Do they have like a torpedo golf club that I could somehow figure out? Is it just the lead tape that our dear friend?
Well, okay, so let me ask you this question. We did learn about this playing. I'm just going to diverge. This lead tape that people are putting on the bottom of their golf clubs, is this something that's legal?
I think it's illegal. Now, I think golfers and people have been using it for a long time as almost like you would use a weight on your bat to warm up.
And then take it off when it's time.
They would use it on the range and then they would take it off. And I don't think you're supposed. It's not illegal to keep it on.
We won't out the person that we played in an outing with this past weekend that may or may not have been using lead tape on the bottom of his club. Good thing we didn't win the great Colesville Brothers golf outing at Inwood Golf Course in Joliet with a 9-under. We all contributed. And there were a couple of people that must have cheated at -11 and -12 to win, but I digress. So yes, maybe there is. Maybe they will continue to look at that torpedo bat. I know it was.
Well, it's legal though. I mean, Rob
it's
Manfred
legal right now.
weighed in. Right as of right now, and I just hope they don't take the fun out of it. Colson is loving this torpedo bat. We've got some quotes in this episode. I even think quote of the week has something to do with his love affair with this torpedo bat. But the bomb he hit today and Sunday's finale, it was a no doubter. It was a drop the bat, a bomb, longest home run at the rate this year, 452 feet.
452 happy feet, as Steve Sloan used to say. That was that's just fun, right? That's what you go out to the ballpark to see, is these monster home runs, and especially from a guy that's, boy, talk about being on a heater, Colson Montgomery, a guy that we had tied a lot of our hopes to for the future, that had kind of and we've mentioned it, is kind of went the wrong direction for a time. To see him doing what he's doing right now, and it's a long stretch now, Nick, and it's getting to be a bigger and bigger sample size of what he can really do and how he can, potentially be a star. I won't say superstar, but he can be a star for this team. He can be a perennial all-star type player for us if he continues down this path.
This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see one of the guys that has been talked about as the next piece, someone to build around. Just wait for this guy, this player that was drafted or in the system or that we acquired from whatever. We wanted the hype to be real. It is so terribly early, but when you don't have a lot of other things to hold on to, and your team is losing at a rapid pace, year after year, you've got to find these things. And it's not even just a silver lining. Like, if this could be real, wow, thank you. Okay, so we've got something here. And I've liked the way some other guys have played the Teal-Carroll combination. I've talked about it. Maybe you're not getting the power numbers you want, but Caro's got a cannon for an arm,
Yeah.
and he's not afraid to use it, and I love that. And just the IQ, the baseball sense at a young age from Caro behind the plate, you need that. But back to Colson, that was his 9th home run, Pat. Okay, he's 5 away from the team lead, and he started playing on this club July 4th. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the stuff that gets you excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And it almost, in a weird way, Nick, it makes me want to get to the off season quicker. Is that a weird thing to think? Like, okay, the season will end, with probably more disappointment probably than excitement when you're looking at wins and losses. But can we get to the point where we start really seeing the fruits of our labor? And I was actually pondering this on my drive back from Gurnee today. I was thinking, how do we look now at Chris Getz? Has our opinion changed on Chris Getz, or is it still the jury's out? And because and maybe a little bit to put the cart before the horse when we said unqualified, he doesn't deserve this position. Maybe those things are still true, but I mean, he's got a lot of fingerprints all over the players that are here now.
I don't think I can make at all a judgment on Chris Getz, because
I don't think I'm asking for a judgment right now. I'm thinking, like, do you feel any different about Chris Getz as a general manager today than you did on opening day?
I feel better about Will Venable than I do about Chris Getz. Like, Will Venable's stock in my mind has risen, even though we see the results and, things still are a little murky at times. I've been more excited about the future with Venable than I have the future with Chris Getz. If that makes any,
it makes sense, but who hired Venable?
That's true. Good point. I guess I'm still really bitter on the Dylan Cease situation. That trade and again, he was super young and he was super fresh in that role. You were never going to get dollar for dollar for Garrett Crochet, but what they did get back has been exciting. How Colson has been managed. Will be an interesting offseason.
Yeah,
for Getz. This really will be. And how he handles Luis Robert Jr. based on maybe the marching orders he gets from folks above.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't mean to derail the conversation. It's just, we're starting to talk about, throwing the flowers at Colson Montgomery. It's like, okay, well, we've got a lot of the futures here now playing on the South Side. The 9 guys or more that have made their major league debuts this year, whether it was they were Getz picks in the first place or they were part of his development when he was in his previous role, there's some things to look at and go, okay, maybe this is a little bit of a. There's probably 50 better guys that could be the GM of this team, but I'm just saying I'm looking at him as differently, or maybe not even looking. I just feel a little bit differently about him today than I did opening day. I thought he was more of just a warm body to do, answer a phone before. Now I think I can look at him and go, he seems like he may have a good idea about what he's doing.
John mentioned in the chat, and I threw it up on the stream here, that jury is out until he signs a major free agent. And I think that's a valid point. And I don't know when that's going to be with the looming lockout and if ownership and, administration, we're going to be holding those dollars pretty close in fear of signing long-term stuff this offseason and waiting for the next collective bargaining agreement, whenever that is. The salary cap thing is a real serious issue, man. People are going to dig their heels in. But I think it's not only a major free agent, but it's how he handles the allocated monies. The way Hahn handled the monies and what he was given, his allowance, so to speak, I just don't think it was allocated properly. How he decided to sign people and what he went after, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. So it's those other little deals, how you flesh out a lineup, because the lineup is obviously in need of so many other tweaks. Well, what monies does Chris Getz have, and how can he better this team? How much has he been paying attention? Who is he listening to? Who is he not listening to when it comes to making the correct decisions this offseason?
That's true. And one thing, and I'm sure it's on your note sheet, because we talk about 10 minutes before we get on the air, and it's usually not about the show at all, is Lenyn Sosa. Another home run today.
Yeah.
And to think about where he's improved and what he's done. And we've talked a lot about, I didn't think we'd be talking a lot about Lenyn Sosa this year. We've talked a lot about him on this show. He puts one over the fence again today. And I think he drove in another run, possibly with a sacrifice fly, if I saw that correctly. So again, more production from Lenyn Sosa. I think this is a guy that you continue to look at as a piece that you want to be here.
Well, Lenyn Sosa has now tied the team lead in home runs. He has tied Andrew Benintendi, and he hit his 14th home run on Sunday. And he is a dude that has gotten better since last year with the bat. Now, the glove and the spacey stuff, the mental stuff, the just kind of like, where'd you go, Lenyn Sosa? Where were you, buddy? Come on. Maybe his name was Addison Russell. Was that a real Cubs player years ago?
Yes.
Addison Russell.
Yes. Until he ran into some, till he did some really awful, horrible things that he found himself out of baseball at some point.
Okay. Well, so there was some dude with the Cubs, and I've mentioned this guy before. Maybe it was Addison Russell that was supposed to be a really talented. This guy's got skill. This guy's going to play at the major league level. And it looked like he just would take innings off.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he had no idea what was going on, or he just was in dreamland. And it just, whatever. So Sosa sometimes gives me those vibes, and a hole in the glove from time to time. But when we clearly are in need of a first baseman, okay, Elko's not your solution. Okay, that's not happening. It might not ever happen. That was a fun little thought for a while, and I'm not saying Sosa's our guy, but if the way he keeps hitting, you got to find a place for him. He is hitting the ball with on the screws. He's mashing. These aren't like accidental, singles. And he's like, I was 3 for 4 with a couple of whoopsie daisies. These are.
I like that. Whoopsie daisies.
He's hitting with authority. But let me get back to I love this quote from Davis Martin, who was on the Hill on Sunday. This is Davis Martin talking about Colson Montgomery's historic bomb. It's beautiful, man. Just beautiful, said Davis Martin, who earned Sunday's victory. It's something about a lefty swing. Sitting on the bench, we were in the middle of our in-between meeting, and you just hear crack, and you just see everybody's head rip up, and we're just like, oh my God, that ball's destroyed. I love it, man. I love when people are in awe of people that they kind of work with, or because it's like they're all major leaguers. And when you can impress your peer by doing something like that, and a young guy, that I love hearing that kind of stuff. He clearly he's got something different, man. There's something different about this guy.
Yeah, and you to look at him, you don't say, wow, big, huge guy. He's tall, right? He's obviously strong, but not built like you would think, a guy that's going to hit a 452-foot home run or hit as many as he's hit this year so far. So he's just got that. He's got to generate a ton of bat speed and generate a lot of whip with that body and torque. So give me more, because how long did we sit here and talk about, and I rejected the idea of it for a long time, stupidly. But it was always said we need to have more balance. We need more left-handed power. And I'd always say, well, what does it matter? You know, if you got 9 guys that are right-handed hitters that are great hitters, what does it matter at the end of the day? But it's what always would get us in trouble. You know, people can navigate through a right-handed lineup pretty easily. And now you can look at it and go, we have a legit left-handed power hitter on our hands, and hopefully for a long, long time. So it fills the need of something that we haven't had in quite some time.
Josh, thank you so much, Josh, for being with us. Josh put up something in the chat that I also put up on the stream that kind of brought me back down to earth for a moment. And you're right, Josh. I don't want to think about it, but you're right. He said, this is how I felt about the last shortstop we had that was a Silver Slugger and was winning batting titles. You're right. We were drinking the Tim Anderson Kool-Aid. We were thinking that we have got somebody that is going to get that first $100 million deal. They're going to be with the team for a very long time. And then poof, a series of very unfortunate events, some personal stuff, some injuries, it just all came crumbling down. I don't want to think about that stuff. I want to live in this kind of these positive vibes over what Colson Montgomery's doing right now. But yeah, you do have to take a step back sometimes. But let's just have some fun and be excited about it right now.
Yeah, and I think, with TA, when I think back on his time, and if I was to draw any kind of differences, I would say, one, Tim Anderson, it almost felt like baseball was a fallback for him, right? It seemed like it wasn't really his thing. It seemed like he was more of a basketball player caught up in a great athlete that couldn't make it where he wanted to go playing basketball, but he was a good enough baseball player with good enough hands, and he could, athletic enough, and he could play in the major leagues. It just shows you what a freak athlete he is. But I think I remember him saying things like he doesn't even watch baseball or doesn't really even like baseball that much. So I think about a guy with like Colson Montgomery, who this is seemingly has been his life and worked really hard and has had ups and downs and persevering. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense from like why I feel different about it. I just don't. And it doesn't say that Colson Montgomery may not, flame out the same way, or in a different way, just flame out and won't be what we expect. But, I'm 44 years old, Nick. You're the same age as I am. We're entering the back nine of our lives. It's too short of a time for me not to have some excitement. I'm not going to try and hold things back anymore because I've got to guard myself. What do I have to guard myself for? I'm not going to be on this blue marble for a long time. So might as well get excited about something while you're here.
Yeah. That's why you wear
I didn't mean to get dark on you, but
well,
geez Louise.
Good God.
I'm having my own midlife crisis right here.
In show, folks. That's why you put the lead tape on the driver. Just have some fun, damn it.
I want to hit the ball 300 yards just once. I'm putting lead tape on there.
That's what
I'm hitting the Super Bowl. I don't care.
I've taken some kind of illegal golf balls and lead tape, and I'm just gonna have some fun with this game. Yeah, you're right. So obviously with everybody, we'll see what happens, but it's fun to report on this. This is what Montgomery has to say on the torpedo bats. I guess I like the bat, or the bat likes me. I would like to think that if you just give me a bat, I'd be fine. But some guys have their special thing with certain bats, and I just feel comfortable with it. So there you go.
There you go. Got to have a good bat.
I mean, I think players are very protective about their glove and their bats. And if you find something, I think there's a lot of superstitions, and there's all different kinds of bats. Like players have been using different. This has been going around for a long time. So, hey, he likes it.
It's interesting that a lot of people more people haven't been using it, because there have been guys that have had success, seemingly. It was all
Perhaps
the talk
it
of the
takes
Yankees at the beginning of the season.
yeah, perhaps it takes a certain, swing pattern. I mean, Colson did do the right thing and talked about in post game that there was a lot of prep and he felt prepared for Cleveland's pitcher, kind of had a game plan, knew what was going to be thrown. Those are all the right things to say, and I hope
Yeah.
that's the case because we know it hasn't happened that way for the
Right.
White Sox for a long time. It just doesn't seem like they were given a game plan, or maybe they were provided a game plan and they decided to opt in a different way.
Yeah.
So I like hearing stuff like game plan, preparation, having an idea of what kind of pitches were going to be thrown his way. But yeah, if you like what you're swinging and you're comfortable and confident, that's the thing, man. If you're confident and you just feel good, like that can override other things.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe it. So keep it going. Hopefully, he's going to cool off. He's going to have those ups and downs, but hopefully he's somebody that, he knows how to get back into it, right? When he falls out. So as we said, Sosa hit his 14th. That's awesome to see. And Sox in the finale were 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. We're going to discuss that in just a little bit here. Saturday was Bill Veeck night. They had a bunch of fun promotions. Are you somebody that likes good in-game promotions, goofy things, wacky things that go on?
Sure, why not? I mean, it's a sport after all. Let's have fun.
Bill Veeck brought so many different crazy things to the game of baseball. Sox actually wore shorts in the pregame on Saturday.
Oh, is that right? I missed that.
So a little tribute to Bill Veeck. They had like a 50-foot hot dog, I think maybe in the patio section. And then a couple got married in between innings. Ron Kittle officiated. It was a 1-minute wedding. If you have a chance, I like to read a baseball book during the off season, maybe 2 if I can. And years ago, I read Veeck as in Wreck. He was just a wild man. I mean, a renegade, a maverick. And it's worth a read, man. If you've never read that Veeck is in Wreck, covers obviously way more than just his time, his stints as a White Sox owner, but all the other stuff he was getting into. And so that was a fun weekend for what the Sox were trying to do promotion wise. Only drew 1 win. And finally we break this losing streak that was started in that finale in LA out in the West, but then carried over in Seattle. And look, Seattle's a good team. They got something to play for. We could have won 2 or 3. We were in those games, but they were swept. And Cannon, very disappointing outing in the series. He was optioned to AAA at the start of the Cleveland series. And this is what I was really afraid of, because this is one of the guys, Pat, that I highlighted at the beginning of the year. I want to see Cannon progress. I want to see Jonathan Cannon kind of build off what I was seeing. He's got a bunch of different pitches. He's got some velocity. I wanted him to, get that confidence, take the next step or two. And he had a good start. I want to say it was against maybe San Francisco a while back. Feels like a long time ago, but it might have only been like 3 weeks ago or something. I was like, okay, you're turning the corner here, Ken. Let's build on this. And it hasn't happened. And it was an ugly outing in Seattle. This is what Chris Getz had to say about Cannon. We felt like it was a good time to give him a breather. He'd been fighting himself a little bit, searching. So we view it as an opportunity to get his confidence back. He's a guy that needs to attack the zone. He's got an ability to get quick early contact, but he kind of got away from that approach. His pitch counts were getting high. He wasn't as productive, so we've got some things to work on. He's still very early in his career, and we believe in him. And we've seen an extended period of time being a successful starter, so he needs to go down there and get to work. And I'm sure he'll be back here before he knows it. I hope that's the case. It seems like they have a plan and they're keeping close eye on this gentleman, but that was one of the big disappointments of the Seattle series.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you have to think it's a zoom out situation with some of these guys, Nick, because not everybody's growth and everything like that is a straight line, right? There's some zigzag, there's some back and forth, there's ups and downs. So, let's hope that he can find something in the minor leagues to, finish the season strong and get to a point where he is attacking the strike zone again and not throwing a billion pitches, early on in games. So I'm gonna be okay with whatever is done right now in the hopes of development. But you can't. I agree with you. Yes, you wanted to see more, and you wanted to see, the development at this level. But if it comes at the minor league level through the end of this season and in through the off season, so be it. But we've seen glimpses, right? There's something there. There's something there to be somewhat excited about. It just has to be honed in and have a little bit more consistency along the way. So let's hope for good things that we hear down in the minor leagues, that he makes the necessary adjustments, and some people need that. Maybe he just needs this opportunity to kind of focus in and work on just him. And for God's sake, stop fighting yourself. I mean, that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds like a lose-lose situation. Now, we've seen someone like Colson Montgomery benefit from kind of get slapped a little bit to reality and go to Arizona and rework on some things, and came back with a game plan, and we're seeing the results. We saw a guy like Andrew Vaughn where we had glimpses, right? There were, I see the potential for this guy. Now, if we could just, if he could take a breather and he could come back strong, and that didn't happen with us. And he's taking care of business with the Brewers, which is fine in that division. That's great. Keep it going. Bummer it didn't happen for us. I just hope, that's where my mind goes sometimes with this, is like, hopefully we as an organization, the White Sox, know how to make adjustments and can speak the language and can identify certain things with canon. And it's not someone else years down the road that is able to unlock it. I hope we can stay with this guy and get what we need to get out of him, because I do believe it's there.
I agree. And with you bring up Andrew Vaughn, and correct me if I'm wrong, other than when we sent him down in the minor leagues just before we traded him, I don't think they ever, put him back in the minor. Once he was up here, he was here to stay. Is that right?
Well, yeah, because he was kind of the COVID casualty situation.
Right.
He didn't really get that minor league experience because of the COVID thing. And
right.
I think he was in that shuttle thing, that taxi, whatever that was called.
Taxi, whatever they called
and so he kind of got fast tracked to the majors.
But they had opportunities, though. He was struggling enough to where I wonder if it would have benefited him to go down at some point and just get an extended stay to really work on some things. I think they kept him up here just trying to almost like, well, he's a good enough hitter.
Work his way through it.
Just
through it at the major league level.
Yeah. And I just wonder if no surprise this organization mismanaged something, but I just wonder if they just mismanaged Andrew Vaughn and figured at the point when he was here and the old core was here, and they thought, well, if the rest of the guys just hit, he'll be able to find his way, and we don't have to rely on him as much. And then little by little, all those other guys went to the wayside, and he became more and more of an important piece. And maybe it was just too much for him. And again, he probably would have benefited by going down and taking extended time to get himself right and bring him back again when he was feeling right again. So I don't know. That's a long-winded way to say every player is different. And it's probably hard to determine how to handle each guy's failures and successes, but let's hope that they can manage this one a little bit better and to recognize when, okay, makes sense, bring them back up, or don't rush guys along. Don't try and put them in spots where they're not comfortable until they're really feeling like they should feel. Yeah.
If he had the benefit of Jimenez, Moncada, Robert, Anderson, mashing, successful, hitting the ball, a lot of offense coming from those guys, the core that we were supposed to get. He was going to be able to hide, but he was exposed big time because there was nothing going on offensively.
Right.
There were injuries and poor production. And it's like, all right, Andrew, you're here, man. You were this Golden Spikes guy. Where is this consistent? Where is this guy? And it was a lot. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. When you go to a different team, it's like, oh, different scenery. What does that mean? Well, that's like everybody you're associated with.
Mm-hmm.
It's the city, it's the organization, it's the front office, it's coaches, it's teammates, it's all the information that you get, everything that's involved. It just it lines up with him. He's unlocked something. And so look, for Jonathan Cannon, it is very early. It is early, but I'll be paying close attention to that guy. And I hope that they know at least what to do or say, or how everything that we have in this organization, every tool to get him to where they want, that we have and we're somehow using, because he could, I think, be a valuable weapon for us.
Time will tell, but there's stuff there that I think is worth continuing to explore and make right. So,
let's talk about this finale in Seattle. Man, I'm watching this game and it goes to extras. This was the 3:00 start, getting out of Seattle, and Sox don't play well in extras. We know that. They just, for whatever reason, it's a mentality, it's a game management, they just cannot figure it out. And it was the case. But the whole game, they discussed it in the post with Chuck and Ozzy. And, if you watched it, you didn't even, once they told you the number, the stat, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Sox were 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position in the finale. 1 for 17.
Is that bad? Is that wrong?
Yeah,
I have not done that. I have not. I got to tell you, if I'd have known, I would have drove those guys in.
You're fired. Get out. I want you out by the end of the day. And no leniency for the holidays. 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Now, the way the Sox handle extras sometimes is just goofy. And, you see the teams that they're playing, and Seattle tried it by productive outs, playing small ball, playing Ozzy ball, playing whatever old school term that I know people these days just cringe and can't stand it. And if you're born after a certain date, I don't want to stereotype, you are just denouncing the bunt constantly. That should never be in baseball. That should not be a thing. We should never do it. I mean, we're yelling at the TV like, this is the time. Lay a bunt down. Let's get this going into scoring position. It wouldn't even have probably helped. The Sox just didn't do anything with runners in scoring position, but at least try to get a run or two across. And you got to get that guy to third. You have got to get that ghost runner. And as soon as the post game came on, Ozzy is irate, and I loved it. And this is one of the reasons why I love Ozzy. And I think people were clamoring for him, to be a manager, especially he could have done a far better job than Pedro Grifol. Is this type of baseball mentality, And that was the time to do it. That drove me crazy. I don't know how you are, Pat, or how you feel about, playing for that and using that bunt. But the Sox don't do it. They don't. It almost doesn't look like they're trying to even get a guy over by hitting it the opposite way. Everything is just, swinging for the fences. And that mentality's got to change. how they operate with runners in scoring position, not just extras, but in general, because this has been a week of just a house of horrors with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I think it's listen, I'm not a big fan of bunting and giving up outs, but in that situation, even if it's not a bunt, like trying to just push the ball the other way, and easier said than done. I'm not going to tell you that I would be able to do it, but get the ball to the right side and get the guy over, right? It doesn't have to be a bunt. It can be, a
productive out,
a productive out in some way. Keeping your hands inside the ball and just, shooting over to the right side, even if it's a weak ground ball. I mean, anything on the right side is getting that runner over. So, that's what's held this team when they were supposed to be good, held them back the most, was the runners in scoring position situation and reliance so much on hitting at least 2 home runs a game to win a game. There's got to be a balance enough in your lineup and in your offense to say, okay, yeah, we can hit the ball out of the ballpark. We've got plenty of guys to do that, but in the right situations and with the right guys, we should be able to manufacture and do things with a bat in our hand that helps us win ball games. Again, easier said than done when you've got guys pitching, knowing that you're trying to do that. I don't know who was up in that situation, Nick. You could probably help me, but if you're asking a guy to bunt that doesn't normally bunt, I don't know if that's real productive either, because you do something wrong in that situation. Maybe you get somebody hung out to dry trying to get the guy going from second to third, and you miss that opportunity. Whatever it might be, you never want to ask guys to do things that they can't do. So again, I'm not against it, but I want to make sure that the people that I'm asking to do those types of things are going to be successful doing it. Right.
Yeah, I get that. And we've talked about this, we used to talk about this years and years and years ago when you and I would be at the bar watching Sox games, and we're like, do you ask Frank Thomas to bunt? If you need to get a run in, or, and these kind of ridiculous hypotheticals of a guy that is a power hitter, a home run hitter. Well, that's really taking the bat out of the hand. That's really asking him to do something that's completely, out of his repertoire. However, what Frank Thomas was so great at, Frank Thomas was a master at driving the ball the opposite way. Frank Thomas was smart enough as a hitter, strong enough as a hitter, and Paul Konerko was a doctor at hitting, and he knew how to do this too. Paul Konerko could easily just try to swing for the fences, but he knew, when to cut his losses and just, take what the pitcher gave him and shoot it to the right side. I want to say Robert was up in one of those situations. And you want to talk about somebody that has failed in this throughout this week, especially. And it happened on Sunday. He came up in a couple instances where he could have opened up the lead for the White Sox because it ended up getting close. He could have opened it up. He had runners in scoring position and a ground ball, pop out, just weak. And he has had some success. Okay. He has found a groove at times this season, especially after the All-Star break, but it's that production and lack of it with runners in scoring position. I point the finger at him because, I get it. If you could show me some power with nobody on, but in those clutch moments when you need it, that's where I look at somebody that goes from a star to a superstar. Is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong at all, because you've got to be able to do the things that aren't the flashiest and are not going to be on a highlight reel, maybe to lead a team and to be a guy that's willing to give yourself up a little bit. And that's when people are going to follow you. If you look at, again, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense this year because 88's not really superstar caliber player this year, but he's still probably the most talented player, regardless of the production. He's probably still got the most talent. If you show the rest of your teammates, hey, I'm willing to do this to help all of us succeed, you can have people following that guy. And that's when you become a true leader, and you go from a really good player to superstar level when you can do that on a regular basis. You mentioned, Frank Thomas, because he made, as you mentioned, he made a career out of hitting the ball to the right side. He'd hit the ball to the right side and accidentally hit it over the fence because he was so strong. And it was wonderful to see. You just wait for the last second, and here I am. I'm inside out this. I'm going to jam myself sometimes. I'm just going to get it, flip it over the infield or whatever had to be done. And you just felt confident when he was up in those situations. I have zero confidence when 88 steps in there in runners in scoring position situations, because I think it turns into a little bit of hero ball.
You're right. And that's one of the differences. I mean, the people wanted to be heroes. There were superstars years ago, 20, 30 years ago. There were guys that just were cut different that, but I felt like, guys also knew in this situation, what my team needs me to do is not necessarily what I want to do. So I'm going to fall on a sword here, put my ego in check, not try to be that superhero and hit it over the fence or whatever. All I have to simply do is move a runner over, get a guy in, and that could be done by simply hitting the other way. I got to put the ball in play. There has to be a game plan. It seems like these guys come up, and I can't say that they haven't been coached. That would be ridiculous for me to say that management and coaches are not instructing these players. That would be nuts if that wasn't the case. But so I got to assume they're either not listening, or they can't do it, or they just decide to not have a clear approach. It just looks like it in these situations. Like, what was Hawk used to talk about it a lot. Like if you are going up there with you don't have an idea and you're just, taking it as it comes, you're dead. You're defeated. Yeah. Like you have to have a plan, and then move off of that plan.
I think a little bit of it, I'll look at guys and go, that's a guy right there that isn't playing for the other 25 guys on the roster, or 24, or whatever the number is. He's playing for himself, his contract, his future, his stats. Show me a guy that's willing to play for the guy next to him, and I'll show you a team collectively that's a winning team. I'll show you the Milwaukee Brewers. That's who I'll show you. You have a team of guys that are trying to go out there and do it for me. I'll show you the New York Mets. They just got swept by the Brewers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right. So I want to see that team first mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done. That stat has got to improve.
Well, to me, that lays at the feet of Will Venable. If you are as excited about Will Venable, he's got to preach that to his guys. And if you've got somebody that's unwilling to do that, then you give them the $2 million buyout or whatever it is and say, smell you later.
Yeah. I that as much as I'm high on Venable, but everybody I won't say everybody, several managers have dealt with this, and it can't be just a Sox thing. It just seems like this is just a poor mentality when we get into these moments, not just extras, but with runners in scoring position. I've got to see that improve. I've got to see that as a focus. I want to hear it talked about. I mean, if they used to have these Q&As for season ticket holders years ago, Sunday morning, you were invited. You could go in to the press room, and they would have different folks, and they opened it up to season ticket holders. And I went a few times. If Getz, hitting coach, Venable, if they were available and they still did this, those are the questions I would want to ask. Well, what's the approach? What's the mindset? How are you going to get better? How can you get better? What are you what are you talking about to players? Do they have an approach, an idea of what we got to do? Because this is ridiculous and it's continuing, and I don't see it getting better. So I was really hot about it. I'm sure a bunch of fans.
I can tell. I mean, you're still hot about it. You are.
I got a bit of a Sox anger issue. I'm working on it, and that's why we do this.
I love it
podcast.
though. This is the Nick I love. We started this year with apathetic Nick. Ho hum. I don't know how many games I'll go to this year. Now look at you. You got like
Yeah.
holsters for your bobbleheads. You can't have enough in your house. You're gonna have to buy a new home to warrant all the stuff you've collected over the year, and that you're a partial season ticket holder again. You're up in the diamond suites. You're an amazing person now again. Look at you. The passion is back.
It doesn't take much, man, for just the things to get back going. And now, man, I'm in it.
You're
brought
like
me
a
back
Zippo
in.
lighter. It just takes one little flicker, and then boom, you are lit for a long time.
Yeah, I'm here, man. It's they got me, and now I've got a microphone here, so I'm going to say things, and this is what happens. So, okay. Well, thankfully that Seattle series is done. You got Detroit coming up next, and then Kansas City. So this could be another tough week, but we'll see. Live off these vibes from Sunday. I got to give credit to Luis Robert Jr. As we wind down this show, he joined a pretty elite club, the 100 home run, 100 stolen base club in White Sox history. There are only 4 people in this club, Pat.
It's a short list for a team that's been around for 125 years.
Do you know the players? Did you see this? Do you want to guess? Could you? I don't want to put you on the spot. I'll give you a couple guesses, and then I'll give you the list.
Just give me the list because I don't want to be.
Ozzie is not on the list.
I would imagine he wouldn't be on the list. No.
There's a couple surprising names here. Minnie Minoso is on the list. He's part of this 100 home runs and 100 stolen bases. Not a huge surprise. Ray Durham is on the list.
Okay. Doesn't surprise me.
Here's one that this was the one that surprised me for the power. Alexei Ramirez is your
Alexei. Yeah.
Alexei.
Yeah, and you know when you think about it, he had a lot of speed. He didn't really have that great of a move, though. He just made up for it with his speed. But he did have, he had a beautiful, very long, but very beautiful home run swing.
He did, yeah. And he had like torque, man. He could quickly turn on something. His hands were quick. He was spry. I was pretty shocked by the 100 home runs. I know he was around for a while, but I didn't think he gobbled up that many. But yeah, he was fun though. He had a cannon for an arm too at short.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Howard with the call. Alexei, yes. It would have been so different. It was Alexei. He's another player where his name just changed in the middle of his career. Like
when Gene Honda starts saying Alexei, right?
Yeah.
You go, well, Gene Honda can't be wrong.
Right. Well,
Gene Honda,
somebody said something.
Ripping Marlboro Reds up there, and he's been up there forever. He knows everything.
Yeah, I doubt that Gene Honda just all of a sudden thought, I'm going to start calling this player Alexei. Somebody must have said to him, or maybe it was Alexei Ramirez, like, by the way, it's Alexei. Okay, you would know.
That's when you say back, like, are you sure you're saying your own name properly?
That's where Gene Honda throws the Gene Honda card and says, are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's Alexei.
I am Gene Honda after all.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a great call, great moment. There's your list, short list, but yeah. So welcome Luis Robert Jr. to that. Get better at production with runners in scoring position. Figure that out. Got the quotes. We got 2 quotes of the week, but first things first. Hey, it's Bears season already. We're in Chicago Bears season. They had their first preseason game, and I tell you, it was on TVs at the ballpark. I'm not going to tell you at all that it was dominating people's attention, but when it's Bears season, man, because this city, it's a Bears city.
True.
It always will be. and soon it'll be Arlington Heights' problem, but we'll call it the Chicagoland Bears are priority. And
Right.
when the Bears when the season really kicks in preseason games and regular season, I mean, a year like this with the White Sox, back corner, all the way in the back corner where there's no light, because it is going to be all Bears. I think, would you say there's a night game next week? There's a preseason night game.
I will be at the Bears Bills preseason game. They put it on a Sunday night at 7:00 for a kick. So I'll be indisposed for next week's show. I didn't when I said yes, I will go to that game. Didn't realize it was a 7:00 start. So not ideal, not an ideal situation, but yeah, I'll be checking out the Chicago Bears and the Buffalo Bills. Maybe a Super Bowl preview. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. So we'll see what's going to happen next week. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll get alerts that way, and see if we're going to just take a week off, or if I'm just going to be mad about something and just run this show maybe solo and just be screaming. And maybe it'll be a success. Maybe we'll sweep Detroit and do well against Kansas City, and that'll be fun. So,
look at your positive nature now.
Speaking of positive, here's your upbeat quotes of the week, and want to thank everybody for joining us once again live. Love the comments coming in. Thank you so much to everybody consuming the audio. Subscribe, pass it along, all those fun things. Here's Colson Montgomery on just kind of how things have been going for him right now with him and his torpedo bat and his success. Now I'm just here playing. This is fun, Montgomery said. This is why I'm here. This is where I wanted to be, and kind of when I got up here, it's all that weight lifted off my shoulders. I really liked reading that. That to me is a player that's aware of the situation, and we get a glimpse into, just all the pressures and everything that are on these people. And he knew the hype. He knew everything that was being talked about surrounding him for a couple of years, and to have this be happening now, and just to him to be able to be present and the mindfulness of, hey, this is fun. I love this. This has been great so far. I loved reading that. I think it's a positive thing. And
for sure. And it's interesting to hear him say the weight has been lifted, that he's up here. You think more would be put on you once you get to the big show, but shows that he's confident in his skills, and the hard part is now behind him, and now he can just play. Yeah.
Shane Smith had a good outing last time we talked, and that is what a story he has been all season long. I mean, he's had his ups and downs and some injuries, but he's back. And this was Will Venable on Shane Smith's last outing. Shane was good. I thought he had that look about him, and we hadn't seen it in a few starts. He was in command. He looked like a dog out there. He was aggressive in the zone. All of his stuff was good, and he did a great job. That was Will Venable on Shane Smith. If Shane Smith can continue this, and we've got that going into the offseason, and that's something we know that's going to be in our rotation. That's why I want to see Cannon bounce back. I want to see Cannon make some strides, because now you can start seeing a little bit of a rotation for the next year or so. That gets me excited.
Here's hoping, buddy. I mean, there still is, despite this past week, and I mentioned it earlier, there's still things to be excited about, and the pieces that are here are hopefully pieces that you can envision being here and being a part of why you're winning sooner rather than later. So we'll see what this next week brings. Maybe we're catching the Tigers at the right time, not as hot as they had been. And Kansas City's, Kansas City. Listen, these aren't Detroit. Yes, very good team. Kansas City, not a juggernaut. So I'm looking for some more success this week. You bounce back from a tough week and get back on the winning ways.
Yeah, and hopefully getting production for the guys that are going to be participating in this next core. They're
Yeah.
part of this next core moving forward. Always
Right.
a pleasure, Pat. Feel so good talking with you on a Sunday. Helps me get ready for the week. This was enjoyable.
Yeah, we always have fun, buddy.
Hey, folks, this has been a pleasure. Subscribe, follow, pass along, but find us on social media as well, on Twitter X at Good Guys TB. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.